Alright guys, welcome back. So I've gone and I've done the hard part. I broke out the tape measure. Yeah, I don't measure too much, but I'm learning. There's one thing that's big on this stuff is you want everything to look symmetrical, and it's so hard on cars. You've seen guys that do the sign shop stuff, you've seen a truck driving down the street saying Pete's Tacos or whatever, and you look at the design and it just looks terrible. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. You want to make everything look like it's made to fit the car. If we go up front, I know that, and we put the tape measure to it, I know that from one side of the stripe to the other, it's about 11 3/4 inch. Now, a lot of the striping stuff is really hard when it comes to stuff. Even if you look at back the old Mustangs when they used to have the racing stripes on them, they would do a thing where the stripes in the back were actually a little bit wider than they were in the front because of the perspective. As you look at it straight from the front, it would look funny if you didn't. Obviously, from what I'm doing, we don't have to worry about that. So we're going to do this a little bit different. But that's that type of thing. Measurements can be right. I can sit down and I can measure this and make sure it's all 11 3/4 inches, but it may not look right as we go down. So when it comes to doing this type of stuff, you can measure it, but the eye is always right because a tape measure and art can be wrong. It's good for guidelines. So what I've done is basically I had to figure out, because I want this to look like it's on the same spot as it is on the front. So I figured that there's a drip rail that goes across the top of the XB. If you know them, you know what I'm talking about. Every car's got one. So basically what I did was I looked at my stripe on the front and I gauged it from that, and I figured, okay, I'm about 3 inches from it from here. So I figured I'm about 3 inches from it from here. So if I look at it, I'm right about where it should be. Okay, I've measured that. I've marked it here, and I marked it here, and here, and here. I'm probably going to be off because I don't think this is straight, so I may have to flub it a little bit. But we'll start out here and measure it, and we'll see what it looks like. Like I said, the tape measure can be wrong here because nothing on a car is straight. I'm pretty sure that this is not perfectly straight. It's usually at an angle in some point. So let's take out my tape. I grabbed some 3/4 inch. It's gonna be a little easier to keep things straight using a 3/4 inch. You can use half, you can use Fineline, but you're gonna have to play with it. And this is basically all I'm gonna do as a guideline here for my design. So I'm gonna lay this down here. I'm gonna line it up with the bottom one. And I'm just going to pull it straight down. Okay? Now I have to look at that because if I'm looking at it right now, it looks like the bottom is like this. I have to compensate for that because this probably is stuck out further at that end. So I'm going to come back. I didn't leave you. I'm still here. I was just looking to see if it looks straight. It don't look straight. Now you may have to step back a little bit. I'm going to do that. I have to compensate for the fact it's on jack stands too. Anyways, I'm going to bring it back just a tad bit. I do have to think that on this, I'm not pinstriping this in a straight line, which would absolutely make it that I have to have it spot on. I don't have to do that. I'm doing a ragged pinstripe, so it's okay. This is what I want. Now that I got that, I can come over here and I can grab my tape measure again. Mark out my 11 3/4. See, I am off a bit from there, obviously. I can come down here and do the same thing. Alright, now that'll make it a little easier on this side. But again, like I said, now I'm going to play with it a little bit because, let me see if I can grab the camera and show you. If I'm in here like this right here, see where I'm at in here? And it's going to be there, which is going to make this really goofy looking. So I'm going to have to play with it a little bit. And this is something that happens on everything that you do. You always run into stuff like this where there's going to be an instance where it doesn't work. Don't be scared to move things. Because I'll tell you what, if I move this an eighth, most people aren't even going to know. Now, another issue, and I'll play with this when I get to it. Look, when I do my tape edge here, see? It's kind of goofy right there because of the curve. That's something I'm going to have to play with as well. But now we've got that. Now we can sit down and start to draw. This is the part that sucks. If you're not artistic, it doesn't really matter. If you want to do something, go look it up online. I'm going to tell you something, and this is a secret. I've learned a lot of stuff from art class. There's a way of transferring stuff from a piece of paper. Say you were going to do this, okay? I had something I found on the internet. I want this design. Okay, we're doing a Pokemon. We're going to make fun of Pokemon through this whole thing. I hate them. We want to put Pikachu on the back of this. I can't draw, or I want it to be exact. I go online, Google, Google up Pokemon, Pikachu, whatever the hell you want. Print it out on your computer. Grab yourself a pencil. Take the pencil. I don't know if they still teach this in art class or not. Take the back of it. Scribble the whole thing right where the Pikachu is, okay? Maybe I'll have to do another video and edit it in here so you guys can see it. I don't know. But if you take and you use this pencil and you graphite the whole back of that design, I can then come over here, put that where I want it on here, take out the drawing, or put the drawing on here, like I said, trace the whole thing. What I mean by trace it, you have to trace all the detail. When you have that graphite on the back and you draw on the front, it basically leaves an outline on there, and then you can go back and draw it in. Really simple. You know, there's other ways of doing this. You can go to the sign guy, or if you got a buddy who's got a plotter, have him cut it out, stick it on there. That works too. I don't like to use stencils and stuff like that. I like to do it my way. I want to do things and make it mine. Even if it was Pikachu, I would do it different. If you've ever seen my Mitsubishi Montero or my Eclipse, it was the same way with the Mitsubishi emblem. I wanted my own Mitsubishi emblem my way, and I did it each differently on mine. So, you know, I always want to do that, but I'm an artist, so there is things to do it. I had a good friend who was probably better painter than I was, but he couldn't draw, and he would sit down and have people do the stencil and that, and I would always give him shit. I'm like, dude, you can't do that. But he could paint his ass off, whereas I could sit down and draw it. And, you know, everybody's got their strengths and their weaknesses. You have to go with it. So, anyway, I'm going to shut this off. I'm going to sit down and draw this real quick because it's not easy to do when you've got somebody watching. And one thing I will say is this. When you're going to do something like this, do it in pencil first so you can erase your mistakes. Go back with a marker over the top so you can see it. You'll notice this when I do it too, and you may have seen it on another video. Can you see me in that shadow? I don't know. When I do my drawing, I usually don't even cut on the lines a lot of times. I'll end up, my brain will go differently and think things, and it turns out better. I've drawn stuff and had it turn out better when I cut it because my mind was in a better place when I did that. So don't be scared to veer off of that stuff. There are no mistakes when it comes to this. Craig Fraser, who is an amazing airbrush artist, said one thing to me one time. He says, always use your mistakes. Your mistakes, a lot of the time, will become what's called a happy mistake, and things will turn out better, or you'll learn something. So always use your mistakes in whatever you do, because sometimes they become happy accidents, and they become better. So anyway, there's that. I'm going to go draw here for a little while, and I'll show you what I come up with.